Hello and welcome back. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports and WeBuyGuns.com in Westfield, Indiana, and you are watching Marksman TV. Today I have a tabletop review and comparison of the Sig P365 and the new Smith & Wesson Shield Plus. We're going to start off with an unboxing and then move through a point-by-point comparison of the two. So if you are thinking of adding either one of these as your next EDC carry pistols, this will give you a better idea of which one might serve your needs better. Anyway, if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. That's coming up now. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with an unboxing of the two, starting here with the Sig P365. It does come in the Sig hard case. Inside here, you do have your warranty and instruction information here. Here is the handgun with one 10-round mag inserted with the extended base plate here. Checking that we are clear. Over here you have a second magazine included, which is also a capacity of 10 rounds, and it does have the flat base plate. Now a second flat base plate is included here if you would like to switch out the extended floor plate, the pinky extension floor plate here. Again, you keep your capacity at 10 rounds, but it does shorten the overall length if you do want two shorter magazines for carrying purposes, just so it prints a little bit less on you. The Smith & Wesson Shield Plus comes in the standard Smith & Wesson cardboard box. The standard model shields also come in. Here we do have the handgun with a 13-round magazine inserted with the extended base plate here. And it also does come with a flat base-plated 10-round magazine as well. You have your gun safety lock and warranty and instruction information here as well. Okay, let's jump into the specs of both of these. The Sig P365 has an overall length of 5.5 inches, whereas the overall length here on the Shield Plus is 6.1 inches, so just a hair over half an inch longer. Over here on the height, if we're taking a look at the extended magazine inserted, we are at 4.5 inches. Moving over to that flat base-plated magazine, we are at 4 inches, dropping off about 0.5 inches, going over to that flat base plate, which again is why they include that if you want both of your mags to have that smaller type of contour on the overall height of the pistol. Conversely, on the Shield Plus, with the extended magazine inserted, we are at a similar height of about 4.6 inches, just a little bit taller than this with the extended mag inserted. Now, if we do put that flush magazine in, we are at 4.25 inches, which is still about 1/4 of an inch taller than the 365 with the flat base plated mag inserted. The barrel length on the 365 is 3 inches. Over here on the Shield Plus is 3.1. Again, just a little bit bigger. And then on the width, we are at a width of 1 inch on the P365 or 1.1 inches on the Shield Plus, being roughly at about the same width. Now, if we bring in the dollar bill test here for comparison, if I line up the back of the beaver tail here on the 365, you are going to notice about 1/4 of an inch left over here on the face of the dollar bill. The bottom of the, I'm lining everything up flush to the top, the bottom of the dollar bill here again extends about 1/4 of an inch below the trigger guard. And then if we want to roughly say that that's probably about 1.5 inches to 2 inches left down here as the pistol grip extends down towards the bottom again with that flush magazine, I'm sorry, that extended magazine inserted. Conversely, lining this along the top and the back, the Shield Plus is almost exactly the length of the dollar bill, with the bottom of the trigger guard extending beyond the bottom of the dollar bill by about 1/4 of an inch. Again, we can see down here with the extended magazine inserted, we are at about 2 to 3 inches longer as we protrude below the height of the dollar bill itself. So if you do have either one of these pistols, you can go ahead and use the comparison of the pistol you have against the dollar bill to give you a general approximation on the size comparison of the one that you're looking to purchase. If you have neither, go ahead and pull out a dollar bill. That should give you an idea about what the size you're looking at between the two. Now, magazine options on the two, as mentioned, the standard model P365 does come with two 10-round magazines. The P365 also has its bigger brother, the XL, which I have done comparison videos on before in the past, which makes it a little bit larger, with the grip frame extending it actually down to a 12-round capacity magazine with the base plates inserted. Now, since its release, Sig has come out with a couple different options. You can get the 12-round magazine with the extension on it for this, or the 12-round magazine with the flat base plate for the 365 XL. Or they have the 15-round magazine as well, but it does add a substantial amount of length to the bottom of the pistol. Now, since the Shield Plus is a new release, currently there are only 2 magazine capacity limits on the market. There is the flat base-plated 10-round magazine, which is a double column single feed type of magazine. Same here on the P365, which they technically call a 1.5 stack. You also have the 13-round magazine that comes with it, which is the same sort of basic construction and look of the 10-round mag, just a little bit longer with that extended base plate down here at the bottom. Now, price point wise on these magazines will run you on the retail market about $35, which is pretty typical of magazines offered by Smith & Wesson. Sig does charge about $45 for their spare magazines, which again is pretty common with all of the other Sig products as well. Okay, let's take a look at the unloaded weight of both pistols. Starting here with the P365, we are at a weight of 1 pound 2.5 ounces. Bringing in the Shield Plus, 1 pound 4.7 ounces, so just a little bit, a couple ounces heavier on the Shield Plus. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the slides, starting here with the Sig P365. This is a stainless steel machine slide with the nitron finish found on Sig's products. This does have rear and front side serrations if you want to do any type of press checking. Now up at the top, you're going to find the sights in a 3-dot configuration. They are dovetailed in, allowing you to change the windage, but nothing for adjustment on the elevation. These are the X-ray 3-day night sights with tritium inserts, and then here on the front, you have this luminescent ring around the front sight, which is really easy for your eyes to pick up in daytime conditions. Again, for nighttime, they do illuminate. Here on the other side of the pistol, again, rear and front side serrations with the P365 roll markings here. Again, back up at the top of the pistol, you are going to notice a loaded chamber indicator. It is not tactile, so you will have to be able to view that, which is going to be hard to do at night. But during the day, if you have any type of light source, you can see brass sort of shining back at you there if the chamber is loaded. Now, bringing in the Shield Plus for comparison, this is also a stainless steel slide with Smith & Wesson's Armo Night finish, which is essentially the same thing as the P365 Nitron finish. The different companies just have different names for it. You have fish scale slide serrations on the front and the back. Again, enough texture to grip onto if you want to do any type of press checking. This is exactly the same that you're going to find on a 2.0 generation Shield. Now up here at the top, your sights are again in a 3-dot configuration. The sights are in this very bright white configuration, but they are not night sights. They are metal in construction and are dovetailed in, so you can drift them for windage, but no adjustments can be made for elevation. Up here at the top as well is a loaded chamber indicator port, so you can see that brass as long as you have a light source, external extractor here, and like you see on both sides, again, the front and rear side serrations with your M&P 9 Shield Plus indicator, your roll markings here on this side. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the trigger pull weight of each, starting here with the Sig P365. We are at a weight of 5 pounds, 13 ounces. And with the Shield Plus, 5 pounds, 11 ounces. So we are very close on both of them in terms of trigger pull weight. Pretty standard for a, non-match striker fired pistol. So let's bring them in closer for comparison. This is the Sig P365 trigger. It is metal in construction with a little bit of a curve to it. We start pulling, there's a little bit of take up right there till we get to about the 90-degree position inside the trigger guard. Now when I start to apply pressure, there's a little bit of creep there, right into a clean break. Let's go ahead and take a look at the reset. Start to let off. A little bit of creep. Again, right there at about the 90-degree position. Again, a little bit of creep. Right there into a clean break. And reset. Right there. So really nice trigger. Taking a look at the Shield Plus. Now this is a new updated trigger from any of the Shield line, which sort of looks reminiscent to a Apex type trigger. Now you're going to notice right away there is a trigger safety right there at the face of the trigger, and it does have a pretty wide face to it, which is pretty comfortable. So as we start to pull, we are again right there at about a 90-degree angle. A little bit of take up. Right there into a clean break. Definitely a lot less take up than on the 365. Let's show the reset. Right there, so I mean a little bit of movement back to that reset. Again, show it again. Little take up, right there into a break. Reset. A little bit of take up there, a little bit of movement right there. So a little bit of travel, but again, that is a nice quick reset that's easy to find very quickly. right there. And then you do have an over travel stop right here at the back of the frame, which is exactly found on the 2.0 series shield as well. Let's take a look at the disassembly of each, starting here with the Sig P365. Check that we are clear. Now we're going to go ahead and lock open the pistol, and this is the takedown lever right here, which will move into the 6 o'clock position. Go ahead and let it down. Now you do not need to break the trigger in order to release the slide from the frame. It'll just come right off. Here is your double guide rod and spring, barrel, and just like that, we are field stripped. If you are familiar with the earlier generation Smith & Wesson Shield pistols, this is going to be exactly the same to you. Go ahead and remove the mag and check that we are clear, and we are. Locking open the pistol, we are going to move the takedown lever again down into the 6 o'clock position. Now from here, you do have to break the trigger to release the slide from the frame. That'll allow it to come right off. Here again, you do have a captive recoil or double guide rod and spring system, barrel, and just like that, we are field stripped. Now let's go ahead and bring in the frames for comparison, starting here with the P365. This is a fully polymer frame, and it does have metal reinforcings where it's needed, such as the guide rails here at the top, which are full length and uninterrupted, traveling about half the distance of the frame itself, which I like that for extra reinforcement. Now the grip texturing is not overly aggressive and is similar to like a soft grit sandpaper, so to me that's very comfortable. I personally do not like overly aggressive grip texturing, but it will give you that tacky type texturing, which you can easily grip onto, and will give you good support if you have perspiration or any type of condensation on your hands or anything like that. Now the magazine release is ambidextrous. It can be moved over to the other side if you are a left-handed shooter, but of course you'll have to flip that over, and it is metal in construction. You do have an accessory rail here at the front, and there is a finger notch cut right here, which gives you a nice natural place for your fingers to sit right below the trigger guard. I do not have overly large size hands, but to me this is comfortable. Now your pinky will fall off the bottom with that flat base plate, but with an extension either on the 10 with the extension, the 12, or the 15, it will definitely have enough real estate there to get a good purchase on the grip. Now this particular pistol does not have a manual safety, but you can purchase a P365 with that manual safety, which will be right here. If you are a right-handed shooter, it'll be really easy for you to get to. The trigger guard is not overly sized, so it's not going to be the best thing if you're wearing winter gloves or anything like that, but it is large enough to easily index your trigger finger in there, bringing it down to the firing position. Plenty of room in there for that as well. And then you do have a slide stop on the left-hand side, but not on the right. Bringing in the Shield Plus for comparison, again, if you have a Shield 2.0, this is going to look very similar to you. First of all, the trigger guard is quite a bit larger. We saw that on the dollar bill test, so if you do wear winter gloves, you're in a colder climate, it will be a little bit more room for you to get your finger in there if you have gloves. There is no rail section up here at the front. If you want to put a light or a laser, they do make units that do sort of hug the front of the trigger guard, and they do make those for the Shields, which I would assume would fit on the Plus, since the width here really hasn't changed, but you would have to look into that. Now the grip texture here is a little bit more aggressive than you're going to find on the P365, but not by a large margin. And I have noticed that the texturing is a little bit lighter than on the 2.0. The 2.0 did get some criticism of being a little overly aggressive, especially for not necessarily the tackiness of gripping, but for somebody who wants to conceal carry in the waistband, that overly aggressive sandpapery type feel could chafe on your skin a little bit. So I can feel that they toned that down a little bit on this, which I like. Whether that's something they actually did or it's just in my head, but I definitely feel that this is a very much lighter type of grit to it than on the other 2.0 pistols. Now this one does have a very small manual safety here on the left side of the frame. They do already make a variation without it, so you can get that as well. If you have a Shield pistol with this type of safety, it is exactly the same safety, and it functions the same way, has the same amount of pressure on it. Now the magazine release here is metal in construction and is again reversible if you want to flip that over to the other side if you are a left-handed shooter. As mentioned, the trigger is a little bit different. It is polymer, but different from the other types of triggers that were previously found on the Shield pistols. You have metal reinforcing here inside the frame. Your guide rails are interrupted with a set here and a set here. Here's your ejector, your takedown lever, your slide stop, all metal where it needs to be. So again, don't see any potential issues with the durability here. Now the overall fit on the pistol itself, again, I have pretty small hands. It does feel very comfortable to me. Again, your pinky is going to fall off the bottom, but they do have that extended magazine, and probably if they don't already have, I'm sure there's other companies that will come out with a pinky extension for the base plate on that flat base plated magazine that it comes with in the box. Okay, taking a look at the barrel, starting here with the P365. This is also a stainless steel machine barrel with a nitron finish. There is no type of polishing here on the feed ramp, and it does have a 1 in 10 twist. The Smith & Wesson barrel is also stainless steel with the Armonite treating. Again, they are more or less the same finishing process, just branded as different terms by the different companies. Glock was the same way with the gas nitride. It's all basically about the same thing. Now there is polishing here on the feed ramp as well, and this is also a 1 in 10 twist, so they are both 1 in 10 twist barrels. The length on the P365 is 3 inches, and on the shield we are at 3.1 inches. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this off with some general takeaways, and a good place to start here is the price point. So the Sig P365 has been out on the market for a couple of years, and the pricing, and I always say in normal circumstances before all the craziness with the pandemic back in 2020 and the shortage on supply, but the pricing on these had stabilized between about the $500 to $550 price point for the base model such as this. Now you could get the SAS and the 365 XL, which would add you about $50 to $75 depending on the model and where you found it. Now, the Shield Plus, which is brand new to the market, which has just come out, does have an MSRP at $553. Now, we don't typically see pistols actually retail at the recommended retail price from the manufacturer, but in this case, these are actually currently selling for about $550 to $650, depending on where you find them new. Of course, since they are a new release, there's not much of a used or a secondary market on these right now. Now, it is also very common that when there is a newly released product, the prices are going to be higher. I remember when these came out, people were routinely selling them for about the $600 to $700 mark, even before all the craziness with supply, just because there was such high demand for them, being new to the market and difficult to find. I do anticipate that these will probably settle down around the $400 to $450 price point when everything calms down and these are widely available, but that'll be left to be determined where that ends up. Now, if these stabilize around $500 and these stabilize around $400 to $450, keep in mind that'll be about a $50 to $100 price difference between the two, making this a little bit less expensive. Now, the basic model shields, you can get the first generation single stack, it's 7 and 8 round magazines respectively. You could find those normally on the used market pretty inexpensively, between about $100 to $200 depending on where you would normally find it. Again, prices are up right now. I understand that that's the thing. The 2.0s would be, again, about $50 to $100 higher, and then you would have the performance centers and stuff like that. So the shields respectively have always been about the $300 to $400 price point. This, I think, again, we'll probably find them used as time goes on in about the 3s, new in about the 4s to the 5s respectively. So this undoubtedly, in my opinion, will stabilize to be a little bit of a less expensive option on the market. Now, looking at the comparison of the two, still, you can tell, even just sitting side by side right here, the 365 is of a smaller footprint. When it comes to carrying, you can always say that ounces can be measured in pounds and inches can be measured in feet. Basically, as you carry the firearm with you all day, every day for weeks or months on end, that weight and size does add up on you a little bit by the end of the day. So even though at face value, they don't look to be that different, I will tell you from experience, and other people will tell you as well, if you're new to concealed carry, a smaller gun can definitely save you on, the burden of feeling that extra weight and size. Now, there's a lot that can be done with holsters to help you mitigate that. So always look out there for holsters on the market. Now, this will fit into a general Smith & Wesson Shield holster. Even though it is just a hair wider than the first gens or the second gens, they will still be able to use that. So the market there, even though it's a new product, is going to be wide open for support there. Where your aftermarket is going to fall a little bit short is, of course, on the magazines, because they are of a different dimension, giving you a larger capacity. The P365 has been out long enough, a couple years, and it has been remarkably popular and a really good seller. As somebody who sells firearms for a living, these have always held a lot of interest with my customers. Both here locally and nationally as well. There is a big aftermarket support for these, and again, as we saw, Sig has come out with larger capacity magazines if you want that. Now, the base capacity again on these is 10 rounds. Even though you can get up to the 12, you're stuck between the 12 and then all the way up to the 15, which the 15 round package is going to put you bigger than the 13 round package here. So again, that's something to consider in terms of size. Starting off out the gate with a 10 and 13, again, remember the base model was 7 and 8. So we're already going up from 3 on the base and then upwards of 8 to 13, so 5 rounds on the extended mag, which is a really good change in capacity. Remember, at 13 rounds here or 15 rounds here, you are at about the capacity of what was standard for the compact size of handgun, like an M&P 9, the double stack version, or a Glock 19. So it's really cool with the ingenuity of these products that we're really getting into a really high capacity on a small concealed carry level, and both of these achieve that, obviously, to a really great effect. Now, Sig, they were the ones that really broke this mold with the 365. They were the first ones to do this. Now there's the Hellcat, then there's the Shield. Ruger coming on board with something similar And then FN comes out with a 503, which was interesting, which is like a bigger single stack shield. But anyway, I have a video on those as well. So this is really cool that the way the market is headed on concealed carry is that the capacity is definitely up, and all of the manufacturers are now noticing that this has been set as a standard for concealed carry. If you can't get a pistol that's small enough and comfortable enough to conceal with at least a 10 to 13 round magazine, it's going to be really, really hard to compete in that regard. And of course, this shows us the case there. Now, as a lot of you guys have known, I personally carry a first generation shield. When the 365 and the Hellcat had come out, I never really got on board with switching up on my EDC, mainly because I was very comfortable with the ergonomics, fit, and feel of my first gen shield. I've been carrying it for about 9 years, so it definitely has, I'm always a believer of that mantra of stick to what you're comfortable with. Don't try and kind of switch that up enough, especially when it comes to the firearm you depend on to save your life. Now, handling this, aside to my, and I wish I had brought that, I don't have one here in the store, I wish I had brought that for comparison, and maybe I'll do a comparison on this compared to the single stack shield pistols, the first gen and the 2.0. But honestly, as somebody who has carried that for a long time, this does not feel any different to me. I really cannot feel a difference between this and the first gen. Again, the texturing is more aggressive than on the first gen shield, but it's less aggressive than on the 2.0. So I really, really like how this feels and fits in my hand. I feel right at home on it, and I can get up to 10 to 13 rounds. Why not? I do have mags and everything for my first gen, but the holsters and everything will translate right over. So this is something I'm actually probably going, I'm not saying probably, I've actually made the decision to switch over to. So I am really happy with this product. Again, it is bigger than this and bigger than the Hellcat, but really no different than the first generation shield or things like the 43X with a longer grip. So, the 43X, excuse me. So really, really big fan of this product. I'm a fan of the Sig too, but this is definitely I'm switching over to. If you went either way, I don't think you'd be doing yourself a disservice. And again, the other products that are out there that offer this type of capacity in the size for EDC, really, really cool where the market's going. As a gun store owner, I always recommend get out to the gun shops, fit them in your hand, see how they feel, take them out to the range, see how they function. Again, in these videos, I don't do any type of range shooting. Even though this is used, this is a new product, and I can't really take out my new products and shoot them and stuff like that because I do have to resell these, to make money on them. That's what my business is. Plus, there's already a million videos on these being fired. I'm sure more to come on these. So there's always that out there on the internet. I just like to do the detailed fundamental spec comparison of the two: size, weight, balance, ergonomics, and parts, to give you guys at least the fundamental overview of where we're starting on these, which is basically where most people start when they first go into a gun store to pick them up and check them out. So giving you guys that experience. And then again, go handle them yourself, go out to the range, see which one you like. But either one, I definitely have faith in as being really, really good EDC options. It's something that'll probably serve you pretty well. Well, that is all the time I have for you today on these. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video. If you enjoyed, please let me know by hitting that like button, and please also consider subscribing to my channel. Go ahead and hit that bell notification button so you are aware when I am posting new content. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you off there. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports and WeBuyGuns.com in Westfield, Indiana. You are watching Marksman TV, and I will see you next time.